Hello and welcome to today's lesson, which is solving equations with unknowns on both sides. Now this is only linear equations, so we're not dealing with any quadratics, it's just linear equations with no unknowns on both sides. So let's have a go at our first example. So here we've got example 1. Now if you watch the one-step equation, your first instinct with this one here might be to get rid of that 2 by dividing by 2, but the problem I've got is that there's an x on the other side. So here I've got 2x is equal to x plus 5. Now, as a rule of thumb, you're always trying to get rid of the smallest unknown first, unless there's a fraction, in which case you get rid of the fraction first. But in this case, you're always trying to get rid of the smallest unknown first by balancing them on both sides. So my smallest unknown in this case is x. And how do I get rid of an x on that side? Well, I get rid of an x on that side by minusing x and minusing x. So if I do 2x minus x, it's just equal to x. X minus x is nothing, so I just end up with x is equal to 5. So I've taken that x from that side to balance that equation. And then that's that question done. So pause a second, have a go at this one here. I will have a go in a second. So this one here is example 2. So you have a little go at that by pausing now. Okay, so I'm going to do the answer for you. So 3x is equal to 2x plus 9. So my first stage when I'm doing this is to try and get rid of the smallest unknown first. So my smallest unknowns is this 2x. So to do that, I'm getting rid of this 2x. So minus 2x and minus 2x. Be careful, sometimes that's negative, but I'll talk about that at a different point. So if I do 3x minus 2x, that's just equal to x, that's nice. And 2x take away 2x is just going to be equal to nothing, so I end up with my final question, which is x is equal to 9. Brilliant. So let's just check those answers. Super. Perfect. So let's step this up a little bit now. Let's have a go at our next one. So again, I'll do one question, then you can have a go at one, and then we'll move on. Remember to make sure you're getting these in your notes. The only way to learn maths is to do it. So here, this is example 3. So I've got 4y minus 3 is equal to 2y plus 9. Now, I'll say it again. When we're solving equations with unknowns on both sides, the first thing we've got to do is get rid of the smallest value of x. So in that case, smallest value or smallest unknown. In this case, I've got 4y and 2y. Okay, so my smallest unknown is this 2y, and I'm getting rid of that by minusing 2y from both sides. So if I minus 2y from this side, now I can't minus 2y from this because that's not a y, that's just a minus 3. But I can minus it from here. 4y take away 2y is equal to 2y minus 3. And if I minus 2y from this side, it cancels. 2y take away 2y is equal to nothing, so I'm just left with 9. And now we're back to the stage where we've got one of our linear equations. So we solve this like we did in the linear equations video. If you've not seen that, I'll put the link below for you to follow on to that. So, first of all, I need to get rid of this minus 3. How do I get rid of the minus 3? Well, I add 3. So I end up with 2y is equal to, that cancels. Minus 3 plus 3 is nothing. 9 plus 3, which is equal to 12. So then I need to divide by 2. So if I divide 2y by 2, I just end up with y. 12 divided by 2 is equal to 6. And that's that question done. So have a go at the one on the right on your own. Pause now and have a go at that. I'll just make it big for you for a second. So pause now and have a go at that. Okay, I'll have a go at it. I'll show you the answers. Do make sure you're having a go at these questions though, because remember, the only way to learn maths is to do it. So, get rid of our smallest unknown first. In this case, it's 2y. So minus 2y minus 2y. 7y take away 2y is equal to 5y minus 4. 2y, take away 2y is nothing, so I'm just left with the 31 on this side, and then I'm solving a linear equation. So I need to get rid of this minus 4 by adding 4, adding 4. So I end up with 5y is equal to 31 plus 4, which is 35. And then I'm dividing by 5 and dividing by 5. Very similar to the ones we were doing before. So 5y divided by 5 is y. 35 divided by 5 is equal to 7. Brilliant. So let's just check those. Perfect. 6 and 7. Absolutely super. So let's have a look at this one now. Now this one here isn't too much harder. I think it's probably worth pausing and have a go at this if you think you can. I will put it up there. So it's probably worth having a go at that one. So this one here is example 5. Make sure you're getting these in your notes so you can always refer back to them. So the key step with this one here is to get rid of that bracket first. So I'm multiplying out that bracket. So I'm going to do 3 times by x, which is 3x. 3 times by 2, which is plus 6, which is equal to 2x minus 1. I've expanded that bracket. Now I'm at the stage where I can solve equations with unknowns on both sides. So the first thing I do is I need to get rid of my smallest unknown first. And in that case, it's the 2x here. So minus 2x minus 2x. So 3x take away 2x is just x. Plus the 6, nothing's happened to that. 2x take away 2x is nothing. I'm just left with a 1 on this side. Now notice I said 1, okay? What's the trick there? The trick is that actually this is minus 1. And a lot of people will just write 1. This here, I'm left with negative 1 on that side. Do not forget that negative, okay? Have I finished this? Do I know what x is? Have I solved? Not just yet, because I've got x plus 6 here. And remember, solve means to find our unknown, so I need x on its own. So to do that, I need to get rid of this plus 6. So minus 6 and minus 6. Minus 6 from this side, I'm just left with x. Minus 1, take away 6 is minus 7, like so. Brilliant. Don't be worried the fact that's a negative. That's completely fine. We'll check our answer. Absolutely brilliant, yeah. Notice that was a past paper question, so that was worth 3 marks on the foundation paper, that was. Okay, so let's have a go at this next one here. Now, you'll remember at the start of this video, I said to you, you always try to get rid of the smallest unknown first, unless it's got a fraction, okay? In which case, you've got to get rid of the fraction first. So this one here is example 6. So 4x minus 1 all divided by 3 is equal to 2x plus 4. Now actually very recently I've seen a lot of these questions come up in the GCSE. So let's have a real think about this one first. So the first thing I've got to do here is I've got to get rid of this divided by 3 first. Okay? So how do I get rid of a divide by 3? Well, to get rid of it, divide all this by 3, I'm going to times by 3 and times by 3. Some people kind of circle this and take it to the other side and times by 3. Okay, to get rid of that. Now be careful. If I'm timesing a divide by 3, that means it cancels. I don't need to multiply this top. The whole point here is that I'm timesing by 3 to get rid of that bottom. So I'm not timesing this top by 3. I'm just left with 4x minus 1. To get rid of that divide by 3, I'm timesing the other side by 3. Now, you can either write it like this, 3 times by x plus 4, like so, or you can times it out as you go. So 3 times by 2x is 6x, 3 times by 4 is equal to 4, 8, 12. So then I'm back to an equation with unknowns on both sides. Now, remember with this one, you're getting rid of the divide first, and you're doing that by timesing the other side by what that divide is. To get rid of that divide by 3, I'm timesing the other side by 3, okay? And then I can carry on and solve this. So now I look for the smallest unknown. In this case, it's the 4x over here, so it's on this side this time. So minus 4x minus 4x. So 4x minus 4x is going to be nothing, so I'm just left with the negative 1 again. Remember, it's negative 1, don't forget that. 6x take away 4x is 2x plus the 12. Don't be scared of the fact that the x's are on this side. It's still exactly the same techniques. Next, remember, you're trying to solve to find x, so I want x on its own. So I want x without the 2 and without the 12. So the next thing I need to do is get rid of this 12. So I'm minus 12 minus 12. Negative 1, take away 12. It's tricky that. I'm starting at minus 1. I'm taking away another 12 is minus 13. And then 12 take away 12 is nothing. So on this side, I'm just left with 2x. I still haven't finished because actually I need x on its own. So I need to get rid of this 2 by dividing by 2 and dividing by 2. Now people might panic here because they might think 13 divided by 2. I can't do that. Yes, you can. Okay. This comes up on the non-calculator. It comes up on the calculator. If you're using a calculator, you could just type it in. Chances are it will come up on the non-calculator, in which case I do minus 13 divided by 2 and I write it like a fraction. So minus 13 divided by 2 is minus 13 over 2, which is equal to x. Now that one there is a bit trickier. You've got a few different steps here. We're timesing by that 3 first. Then we're getting rid of our smallest unknown. Then we're taking the 12 over to the other side by subtracting. Then we're dividing by 2. And we end up with this negative fraction. Okay, let's check the answer on that. Minus 13 over 2. Brilliant. That's a great one. So, let's have a go at another question. We've got 2 more examples to go. And then we'll have a go at some ourselves. So with this one here, I've got 35 minus x all over 2 is equal to 15 plus x divided by 3. This here is example 7. Okay, so with this one here, very similar to the last one, we need to get rid of those fractions first. And I do that by taking this divided by 2, and I'm to get rid of a divided by 2 on the left, and timesing this side by 2. That's getting rid of that. To get rid of this divided by 3 on the right, I'm timesing the left-hand side by 3, and that will get rid of that. Okay, so I'm timesing the right-hand side by 2, I'm timesing the left-hand side by 3. So, I am going to write it as brackets this time, just to make sure that I can see it. So I'm timesing this left-hand side by the 3 to get rid of the divide by 3 on the right. So I end up with 3 bracket 35 minus x is equal to get rid of the divided by 2 on this side, I'm timesing the right by 3. I'm doing the inverse, remember. So 2 times by 15 plus x. So the next stage is to expand those brackets. So 3 times by 35, it's a tricky one that. 30 times by 3 is 90. 5 times by 3 is 15. So that's equal to 105. 3 times by minus x is minus 3x. Don't forget that minus is equal to 2 times by 15 is 30. And 2 times by x is plus 2x. And then we're at the stage where we can get rid of our smallest unknown. Now, there's a bit of a trick here. I know what everybody's going to say. Our smallest unknown is 2x. But it's not. Okay? Our smallest unknown here is negative 3x. This comes further down on the number line. Okay? So I need to get rid of the minus 3 first. Okay? Don't be confused and think that because it's a 3, it's bigger than that. It's not a 3, it's minus 3. So I'm getting rid of that by adding 3x. Remember, the opposite of taking away 3x is adding 3x. And adding 3x here. Okay, super. So if I add 3x to this side, these are going to cancel. I'm just left with 105 is equal to 30 plus 2x plus 3x is equal to 5x. Brilliant. So my next stage is to just solve this like a normal equation. Remember, solve needs to find the unknown, so I need to get rid of the 30 and then rid of the 5. So minus 30 minus 30, 105, take away 30 is equal to 75, which is equal to 5x. Then divide by 5, divide by 5, 75 divided by 5 is 15 is equal to x. So again, we're taking it to that next stage again. This actually comes at the top end of foundation and at the bottom end of higher. These questions come up on both papers. Let's just check that answer. X is equal to 15, brilliant. So we've got one more question and then I'm going to let you have a go at some yourself. Now, this one here is your classic problem solving question. Okay, let's make it bigger. You definitely need to get this one down in your notes because this is the one that people always struggle with. So here is a rectangle. We've got the top, which is equal to y. We've got all measurements are in centimetres and the area is equal to 48. Find the value of y. This one here is example 8. It's the last example we're going to do. So, let's draw this out first of all. Again, this usually comes at the back end of foundation or the start of higher. Now, if you've seen some of the earlier videos, you might remember that when we were doing solving linear equations, we did a problem solving question at the end of that. And we know that these two sides, because it's a rectangle, are equal. Okay? So, in fact, let's just write the area first. Area is equal to 48. So, because these two sides are equal, my first stage is to say that these are equal. So, 2x plus 6 is equal to 5x minus 9. So, the whole point here is that we've created an equation using our diagram. And then I'm going to solve it like a normal equation. So, first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the smallest unknown. In this case, it's equal to the 2x. There's no negatives there. So minus 2x minus 2x. If I minus 2x on this side, I'm just left with the 6. If I minus 2x on the other side, 5x take away 2x is 3x minus 9. Remember, I'm solving to find x. So the next thing I need to do is to get rid of this plus minus 9. Then I'm going to divide by 3. So plus 9 plus 9. So 6 plus 9 is equal to 15, which is equal to, these are going to cancel to just leave you with 3x. My last little stage here is, remember, I'm trying to find x. So divided by 3, divided by 3. 15 divided by 3 is equal to 5. 3x divided by 3 is just equal to x. So I end up with x is equal to 5. Now, have I finished here? Is the question asking for x? No, it's not. The question is asking for y. So it's taking it to that next level again. And the problem is here that, first of all, we've got to spot that this is equal. Then we've got to solve it. But then we've got an extra layer of this. So, don't be confused and think that this is the value of the side. It's not. This is the value of x. To work out the value of the side, you've got to put that into one of these. Now, it doesn't matter which one you put it into, you'll get the same answer. So, 2x plus 6. That means 2 times x, which I know is 5, plus 6. 2 times 5 is equal to 50. Sorry, 2 times 5 is equal to 10, plus 6 is equal to 16. If I was to do it on this one, I should get exactly the same answer. So 5 times x take away 9. Remember that x is equal to 5. So this would be equal to 5 times by x is 5. 5 times by 5, take away 9. Well, 5 times by 5 is 25. Take away 9 is 16 as well. This makes sense because both of these sides are equal. So both of these sides are equal to 16. So it doesn't matter which expression you use, you're going to get the same answer. Have I finished yet? No, I haven't. I know the length of one of these sides is 16, but the question is asking for what is the value of y at the top. So you know that your area is equal to 48 centimetres squared. You now know that this length here is equal to 16. So I know that 16 times by something is equal to 48. Or the other way around, y is equal to the area divided by one of the sides. Now, you can do that in your head if you can do it. You can use a calculator if it's a calculator paper. If you can't, then just add up multiples of 16. So 48 divided by 16, which is equal to 3. So this is equal to 3 centimetres here. Now you can check that if you want, because 3 times by 16 is equal to the area, which is 48. Okay, 3 times by 16 is equal to 48. So your length times by width is equal to your area. Okay, and now I've finished. I found out what y is. Now that is tricky. That is really tough. I've got loads of steps there. First of all, I've got to solve an equation with unknowns on both sides. Then I've got to substitute back in to find out what one of those lengths is. Then I've got to use the reverse area to find out what y is. This is worth 4 marks, and it's usually right at the back in the foundation or somewhere a few marks in on the higher. It's not an easy question with this, so make sure you take your time. If you need to go back and re-watch it, then do that. Okay, so let's have a go at some questions yourself now. Snap this. So let's make that big for you. So pause now and have a go at those questions. Make sure you are having a go at these. Remember, the only way to learn maths is to do it. So pause now and have a go at those. Okay, I'm going to pop the answers up for these. So mark those in green. Now notice with this, there are a lot of decimals in this. Don't be scared of those decimals. You can write it as a decimal or as a fraction. Absolutely super. So thank you for watching this video on solving an equation with unknowns on both sides. Remember to make sure you're having a go at these questions, because the only way to learn maths is to do it, and have an absolutely wonderful day.